Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Drew Reviews, and today we are going to be talking about Star Wars Episode 9 and J.J. Abrams. So it says here that J.J. Abrams denies trying to repair Star Wars after The Last Jedi. Now, I have a lot to say about this, so let's read the article and then we'll talk. Sure, Sony and Disney just made up over Spider-Man, and Dwayne Johnson even ended his beef with Vin Diesel, but it may be asking too much for Star Wars fans to stop fighting. We're only human. After Rian Johnson's Star Wars The Last Jedi came out, the conversation quickly turned to what J.J. Abrams must have thought, since the story took such a hard turn from what he set up in The Force Awakens. When Abrams was announced to direct Star Wars Episode 9, taking over for Colin Trevorrow, some fans assumed and hoped he might ignore or even repair the story after The Last Jedi. Now, I just want to say, for those of you who are saying that they had a plan the whole time and that there was always this plan, an overarching plan for the trilogy, there wasn't, and it's confirmed here, because JJ was not even supposed to direct Episode 9. If Colin Trevorrow was directing Episode 9, he would have done whatever he wanted, and it probably would have been a completely different movie. But now, J.J. Abrams, they're literally letting J.J. do whatever he wants. So basically, if you're directing and writing the movie, you're doing whatever you want. J.J. was allowed to do whatever he wanted in 7. Ryan was allowed to do whatever he wanted in 8. Now they're bringing J.J. back, and Ryan has nothing to do with anything in 9. So it's just crazy. And my thoughts on what's going to happen in 9, I don't think JJ is going to retcon everything, and I don't think there's some stuff we could tell that he's retconning. You know, he's probably going to make Force Ghost Luke more important and more like Luke and not Jake Skywalker. Leia, even though Carrie Fisher's passed in real life, I feel like JJ will respect her with the unused footage. And I just feel like JJ, and then, you know, Kylo Ren's mask, JJ's fixing that, the lightsaber. So there are going to be like retcons, but at the same time, I feel like he's going to kind of respect what came before. And I feel like it's just going to be a completely individual movie. Like, honestly, I don't even think The Force Awakens is really gonna it's more of a, I feel like it's just gonna be its own movie, and like Force Awakens The Last Jedi didn't really do anything, you know, because they really didn't, you know, everyone's in the same spot that they were. Rey was so powerful in The Force Awakens, and now she's just more powerful. Like there's no really like stakes, and there's no difference. Like in A New Hope, Luke was not a Jedi, you know, Luke had no training, whatever. He was just a pilot. You had Leia, who was the general, but she got captured by she got captured by the Empire, so we didn't really see her as a leader yet. And then Han was just a smuggler. And when we get to 6, now they're all completely grown and developed. You have Luke, who's now a Jedi Knight, Jedi Master. You have Leia, who's now like the full-on rebel leader, and Han, who's also taken a role into a rebel leader. But meanwhile, in this trilogy, there's no development. Rey starts off as powerful, and she ends, and she's powerful in 9. And I think one of the reasons for that, well, I mean, it's probably like they could have wrote it better, but another reason is because Last Jedi took place right after Force Awakens, which I didn't think was a good idea. And like, obviously, I know in order to change that, in order to make there be a time gap, you couldn't have that ending where she holds the lightsaber to Luke. But don't have that ending then, because Luke should have never been on the island in the first place. So that's my opinion. So now let's keep going. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker co-writer and director J.J. Abrams has spoken about respecting the choices The Last Jedi writer-director Rian Johnson made, and in a new interview, Abrams reiterated that respect. Now, I mean, let's be honest. He's not going to trash the film. He's still, right? He's still like in this. The movie hasn't even come out, so he's not going to trash the film and then have people not come see his movie because of that. But at the same time, this might make fans even more mad that he's not retconning stuff, even though it kind of looked like from the trailers that he was. I mean, after all, Rian Johnson killed off Snoke so Kylo could be the big baddie, but now you have the Emperor coming back, to be the big baddie. So, JJ quotes, "I never found myself trying to repair anything. If I had done 8, I would have done things differently, just as Rian Johnson would have done things differently if he had done 7. So, right from there, if you would have done things differently, okay, like maybe you're not trying to repair anything, but your story, your outline must have been changed. Because now you're going back to what was supposed to happen in 7. Because the original outline for 7 was that there was concept art where they went underwater in the Death Star ruins, and now it looks like they're using that for this. So I mean, sure, maybe JJ decided in his outlines that 7 would be like that, and then maybe 9 he would use that original concept idea. But I feel like that the story was just taken in a totally new direction, that now J.J. Abrams has nothing else, so he's going back to what he originally contracted for 7. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously he's changing things, He's saying, I never found myself trying to repair anything, but then he's saying he would have done things differently if he had done 8. So, like, Rian Johnson killed Snoke, killed Luke, made Rey this powerful person with no development, even though JJ kind of started that, but made Kylo like such a whiny, like non-threatening villain. So I'm sure JJ in his outlines had a plan for Snoke to be the big baddie. I really don't think the Emperor was definitely not going to come back if Colin Trevorrow did 9, unless it was Colin Trevorrow's idea. Kathleen Kennedy did not think like, we have to bring Palpatine back. Like that's part of the story. Like she didn't even tell. Like they're like literally saying, oh my god, it frustrates me so much. Like the facts are there. It's there. Like even though they don't say it, they're lying, and it's obvious. Even if JJ's original idea was to bring the Emperor back, that was not the plan. That was just JJ's plan. Because Rian Johnson said that he had a completely free book. Nobody, Kathleen, JJ, even though JJ had outlines, like Kathleen never told him, Ryan, you have to kind of do this so we could do this for the 9th movie. He didn't do any of they didn't tell him to do any of that. They just gave him a movie. But meanwhile, in an interview, Kathleen Kennedy says that it was the plan all along to bring the Emperor back. No, that was JJ's plan. That was JJ's idea. And JJ was not even supposed to direct the 9th movie, so that wasn't the plan. If that was the plan, then you would have told Rian Johnson, look, you could do your movie, but we're going to bring the Emperor back in episode 9, so you have to do this. But there was none of that. So now JJ continues. But having worked on television series, I was accustomed to creating stories and characters that were run by other people. See, it's just sad because now we're at the point where it's not even like a story. It's just like different writers coming in thinking, how can I do this? And it's not JJ's fault. I mean, it's not Ryan's fault either. It's Disney and Lucasfilm who decided not to have a plan and just give these writers free reign, because now by doing that, look what you've done. Even if you had a bad story, even if you had a bad trilogy, at least have a consistent bad trilogy. Like, this is a bad trilogy and it's not even consistent. and it's a mess. Even if it was bad, at least have a plan. So it can make sense. It'd be bad, but it makes sense. So I'm a prequel lover. I am a prequel lover. I have nothing against prequels, but I do hear other people's arguments, and they say that they don't like the prequels, but at least the prequels make sense because there was a plan. So if you may not like the prequels, but it makes sense. Like if this trilogy just had a plan and was bad, then okay, but there was no plan, which is even more frustrating because it's not that hard. It's not that hard. All you have to do, I'm sure there was hours and months and years that went into Force Awakens. You couldn't have taken 30 minutes to say, okay, so if we end 7 like this, what should 8 and 9, where should 8 and 9 kind of go? We should kind of have a general idea. We don't really have to write the scripts or all that, but we should have a general idea so we're not doing something random. But they didn't even do that. How do you not do that? That's just common sense. So now JJ's saying he's accustomed to creating stories and characters that were run by other people. But it shouldn't be like that. It should be one cohesive story. He shouldn't have to come in and fix things because that's what it is really. He's trying to come in and do and figure out how to do his own thing. If you're willing to walk away from the thing that you created and you believe it's in trustworthy hands, you have to accept that some of the decisions being made are not going to be the same that you would make. If you're willing to walk away from the thing that you created, you believe it's in trustworthy hands. But you see, he had no choice. I'm pretty sure they didn't ask him to direct 8. So he didn't walk away. They didn't ask him to come back. So, and it's not up to him if it's in trustworthy hands. He didn't choose Rian Johnson to direct the movie. Disney Lucasfilm chose Rian Johnson. So there really was no walking away, and it wasn't like George Lucas who actually sold Disney to Star Wars. That was his choice. It's not JJ's choice to walk away. Lucasfilm didn't hire another director. You have to accept that some of the decisions being made are not going to be the same that you would make. Yeah, obviously, but at the same time, if there was an overall story, then at least you would know what to do. Even if JJ didn't like the story, at least he would know what to do. But now, he didn't know what to do, and he had to come up with a completely brand new thing. Anything that happens in episode 9 was not part of the plan. If anything from The Last Jedi connects into episode 9, that's JJ saying, oh, that scene where Rey was with the mirrors and there was all those rays in the cave, we could make her a clone. We could say that she's a clone. That was not why Rian Johnson did it. I don't know why Rian Johnson did it, but we know that there was no conversation. There was no conversation. Rian didn't tell JJ, hey, I want Rey to be a clone. That's why I did that. Because Palpatine was never supposed to come back, but there was not supposed to be any of that. So there's no plan. And if you come back into it, you have to honor what's been done. I think it's not like he's not gonna go out of his way to retcon everything. It's not like he's gonna go out of his way to do that. There's gonna be some subtle things that are retconned, I guess it's not gonna be that subtle. The mask is obviously, the lightsaber, the Emperor coming back, Rey's parentage is gonna be more explained because JJ obviously didn't like that Rey was just nobody because that's not what was set up. So I think there are going to be retcons, but it's not going to go out of its way to just I don't know. I feel like it's just saying that. I feel like it's going to be its own movie though. I feel like it's going to be its own movie and then it's going to retcon some stuff. They'll mention The Last Jedi and stuff, but I feel like he's saying by honoring it, he's not going to just completely retcon the whole thing and spend the whole time retconning it. But I still think he's going to retcon it. Granted, J.J. Abrams told Empire he would have done things differently if he had made Star Wars Episode 8, but he's acknowledging that Rian Johnson would have also done things differently for episode 7 because two filmmakers are never going to make the same choices. I know some people are going to focus on Abrams saying he would have made different decisions and turn it into a slam because that's how they would feel themselves. But you could put any director you do respect in that scenario above Abrams, and Abrams' quotes about different decisions would still stand. Nearly 2 years ago, right after Star Wars The Last Jedi came out, Rian Johnson told Cinema Blend about J.J. Abrams' reaction to the movie. He was into it, and I remember that I pitched him the story at the very beginning, and he had notes, but he wasn't like, "Oh my god, what the hell are you doing?" laughs. No, he was into it because I think he was into the storytelling. He's a great storyteller himself, and he saw the potential of each one of these beats. I think he saw it for what we were going for, which is not, we weren't going for, let's subvert a Star Wars movie. We were going for, let's make a great Star Wars movie that has things in it that will push the limits of what we can do. Now, if he's saying we weren't going for, let's subvert a Star Wars movie, why would he even mention that? Because that's the truth. He just doesn't want to say that. Like, his whole philosophy is about subverting expectations. And I don't understand why he would say we weren't going for that. And he said we were going for, let's make a great Star Wars movie. He could have just said, let's make a great Star Wars movie that has things in it that will push the limits of what we can do. But he says, we weren't going for, let's subvert a Star Wars movie. Like, and I mean, what's JJ gonna say? He doesn't like it. And I mean, JJ couldn't say he didn't like it. Reaction to the movie. Pitching the story at the very beginning. I mean, I don't know. It's JJ couldn't, like, you're not going to tell someone who does this whole thing that you don't like it if you're still in that company, you know? Unless you're like a brutally harsh person, but J.J. Abrams isn't going to say anything, you know? And, like, even Rian Johnson's, like, joking. He's like, he wasn't like, oh my god, what the hell are you doing? Which shows that Rian Johnson knows that he was doing something that is like, what the hell are you doing? Because he's saying, JJ wasn't like, oh my god, what the hell are you doing? He was into it because he was into the storytelling. He saw the potential of each one of these beats. But there's no room, like, you're setting up potential when this movie should have, like, went further in it. I just don't get it. Like, there was really nothing new to the movie that affected the whole Star Wars saga. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure J.J. Abrams was not as okay with the film as it seems like. But he's not going to say that, you know. 1 year after that and 1 year from now, there were rumors that J.J. Abrams' work on Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, was a course correction at Lucasfilm to fix Star Wars, after Solo failed to meet expectations, and The Last Jedi was met with divisive feedback. But J.J. Abrams is saying no, he wasn't there to fix or repair. That's not to say he won't do the same thing Rian did and add some new twists after the previous installment. Twists aren't exactly new for the Star Wars franchise. Don't pretend you knew from day one that Luke and Leia were twins and Darth Vader was their daddy. Yeah, but I mean, at least, well, first off, that was the first trilogy. When they made A New Hope, they did not know they were going to make Empire and Return. And then they made Empire, and then they still didn't have, they obviously set up stuff and they had some ideas for where it was going, but then the Luke and Leia siblings was kind of like in the sixth movie. But, you know, that was the first trilogy. You know, they didn't know that where it was going. This was like kind of like the first like real like trilogy of like that kind of stuff, like the mythology and all that, the biggest one. So now when you get to the prequels, now Lucas really had an overall plan because he knew there were going to be three movies that all had to tie in. So, but now they make this 7, 8, 9, and there's no plan. So, like, whatever twist JJ does is not from the plan. Like, And sure, it could have been JJ's idea all along to do whatever he does, but at the same time, The Last Jedi, if Ryan and JJ were on board, The Last Jedi could have supported whatever twists JJ was setting up. It could have kind of set something up, but nothing was set up. So it's just frustrating. I like J.J. Abrams' comparison to the world of television. He was co-creator of Facility with Matt Reeves, created Alias, and also co-created Lost, which is my favorite show. He's been a writer, executive producer, and director on various shows. Lately, he has a ton of executive producing credits, helping to set up the pieces of shows like Westworld and Castle Rock, and so he gets it. This isn't just his baby. It's not even just Lucasfilm's baby or George Lucas's baby. It's the fans' baby. J.J. Abrams gets to close out the Skywalker Saga, and he is taking that responsibility very seriously. The stars have talked about fans being satisfied, but the mind-melting last shot. First off, with Kevin Smith saying the final shot will melt your mind. I looked more into that, and he didn't even see what it was. He didn't see the set. He heard it from one of the Lucasfilm people. So he didn't even see it, and so he didn't say it for himself. He was told that it'll melt your mind. He was told that. And of course the Lucasfilm people are going to say that. What else are they going to say? And here's the thing. I don't want this finale to be satisfying. I want it to be good and worthy. The one question that I need to be satisfied with or answered in not even satisfied. It has to why was this trilogy made? Obviously it was made for money. Disney bought Lucasfilm so they could make money. But at the same time, in a story-wise, what's the reason for this trilogy being made other than for money? Because so far they've retold the whole original trilogy. So is the ending right now, I'm not saying it will, but it's setting up to end pretty much the same way Return of the Jedi ended. Because at the end of Return of the Jedi, we were supposed to have a whole new generation of Jedi in the future, but 7, 8, 9 totally took that away, and there was no progression. We just went back to only having one Jedi, no Jedi really, and one Sith, who's not even a Sith. So is it gonna end we're gonna start a new generation, the Skywalker generation? But we already saw something like that. It's there's nothing new. So that's the question, because they're JJ is saying he's trying to make it satisfying, but if you give us the same ending, sure it'll be satisfying because everybody's happy or whatever, but we already saw that. What's the point of this trilogy if it's just gonna be the same thing over again and we're not getting anything new? Why was this trilogy made? And right now it's just seeming like it was for money. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the ending subverts my expectation in a good way and actually does something different for the story. Oh, that's something different. We needed that. Return of the Jedi couldn't end the way it was because we needed what happened. We needed the end of 9. But at the same time, it doesn't really seem that way. Episodes 7 and 8 have disrespected the original characters so much that right now I wish that they never played into existence. And then we had our episode 6 that was good. And look, I understand, you go through hardships. Leia, Han, Luke all went through hardships in these new movies, but it wasn't character development. They just went back to they were just not utilized and they were treated like garbage. Han was just a smuggler. There was no development. He was just automatic smuggler. Luke, automatic hermit. No development. And Leia was barely in the movie. I don't know. I think she was disrespected too much. Her role could have been bigger. She's such a worthy character of the series, and she deserved more. So, plenty of fans have been waiting for the Knights of Ren, and we know that they are showing up in the Rise of Skywalker. We just got a great new shot of them in the same Empire interview with J.J. Abrams latest concept, Rian Johnson, The Last Jedi. Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker won't be repairing the Star Wars franchise, but it will be arriving in theaters on Friday, December 20th, 2019. My birthday, so that'd be cool. I want to see it on midnight. Yeah. So, like, look. Am I upset with the sequel trilogy? Yeah. But at the same time, I'm a Star Wars fan. I get excited when I see the trailers. It's not like I'm not going to get excited because it's Star Wars. But at the same time, you know, there's just so many what could have beens, and there's so many issues, and you know, I want to be satisfied, and I feel like I'm going to enjoy the movie. But when I come out of the theater and really think about it, I want it to be more than that. I want it to be like, I really want to feel like this trilogy needed to be made and that it respected the legacy of what came before. And so far it hasn't, in my opinion. And I hope episode 9 changes that, and I hope it gives me a reason for, it gives there a reason for why this trilogy was made. I think that's the most important thing. So yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, share the channel, leave a comment. Let me know, what do you think about J.J. Abrams' comments? Do you think he's just saying this to not make any enemies with Disney and Rian Johnson? Or do you think he's actually telling the truth? He's going to respect The Last Jedi? I think it's a little of both. It's definitely not one side. He's definitely not going to respect everything in The Last Jedi because he agreed with everything. He, as he said it before, he would have done things differently. So, and we already see some of the things he's retconning, even if it's just the mask or the lightsaber or Palpatine. There's a lot that's being retconned already in the trailers, and the movie hasn't even come out yet. So make sure to let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. And I hope you guys have a great day or night wherever you are, and I will see you guys next time on Drew Reviews.